Thank you for coming to meet me here. I recognize it takes effort to put on this video. It takes effort to make this time. So thank you for doing that. First, I want to ask you, how were your classes? Loved being with you on Monday. Felt like we went so many places and really got to taste and feel each other. I was so moved so many times in that 2 hours. I'm wondering, how was it to meet Rich and Yvonne, to find your core classes, to find and meet your co-leaders? How was today's class with Sherry? Were you learning things? Did it feel accessible? It's only been a week. Can you believe that? And how's it going for you? How's it going for you? This is a check-in call. So I'm going to be here asking you questions, but this is really for you to be with you. This is an integration tool and a preparation tool. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this process. It will make your experience of the class that just happened, the week that just happened, and the week that's coming so much richer. So just like last time, you're gonna need a quiet place and you're gonna need a pen and a notebook. So I'm gonna give you a moment to find those now. And by the way, I wanted to bring you to a different place today. It's my favorite beach. So we'll spend some time here, we'll explore. Welcome. All right, so you've got your pen and paper, you've got your quiet place. Let's dive in together. So we talked a lot about growth, and each of you had incredible insights into how growth and discovery happen, to what are the dynamics of growth, and to what growth is. So I'd like you to take one of the topics that we explored, which is how we learn. And one of the things that I remember being shared is a lot of how we learn is recalling and naming what we learned and putting it into our own lives. So one of the things I was thinking about is that we talked about asking for help in so many different ways. And many people got different things from that conversation. Some people were noticing that they didn't like to feel weak or dependent. Some people were noticing that they didn't trust people. Some people were noticing that they didn't feel like they deserved help. So whatever you got, I'd love you to take this time and write it down. What did you learn and discover specifically in our conversation on Monday? If you want to include anything that you got from the core classes, please write that down as well, because I know it's all integrated, it's all one thing. But what I want you to be looking out for is often the light bulbs that go off for us aren't directly related to what we're talking about. So for you, find, what did you learn and discover this week? I'm going to give you a few minutes with the ocean to write it down. Thanks for that, and it's so nice to be on this beach with you. Hoping in these videos we explore different parts of nature together as we integrate and really have this time to reflect and just be you with you. So whatever you just wrote about, what you learned and discovered last week, leave some extra space after that so you can come and add more throughout the weekend. And the thing I'd like to talk to you about next is you've got to learn this week, as we talked about on Monday, about the process of noticing, choosing, and acting. And I asked you in the last video, and I know that you did it because we talked about it on the call, to start to notice things that you want to change in your life. It could be internal things, how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself. It could be external things, whether you compliment your children, whether you say, I love you to the people in your life. Could be in the larger community. Is there homophobia? Do people treat each other well? Do they share? Are they generous. Anything that you want to change in your inner world and outer world. You've been in a process of noticing this last 7 days. Now I'd like you to write down 3 things that you'd like to change. Could be in your inner world, could be in your outer world. 3 things, write them down now that you'd like to change. So you've got some practice with noticing. You're noticing what you want to change, how you want to be different inside, what way you could approach life differently. Now I'd love to talk with you about choose. The thing about choice is you can always make a different choice in your life. So I think one lens that we can look at this in is to rate ourselves from 1 to 10. 1 being virtually not there, no engagement, and 10 being I was practically leading class. So from 1 to 10, I'd like you to rate yourself on how you participated, specifically in the Monday class. If you want to extend it to the rest of the classes, that's fine. But the muscle that we are flexing here is introspection. We're looking back at how we showed up. So were you a 1, virtually not engaged, doing other things, or were you a 10 where you were just right there and practically leading the class? Think about it. Trust whatever comes. You can't do this wrong. 1 to 10. How did you participate? Okay, how was that to give yourself a rating? A lot of us, associate ratings with judgment. But what if we could just use it as information? What if we could just look at how we showed up and say, wow, I was kind of off today, or wow, no, I was on today. I fully brought everything. And what if we could use this rating tool, this evaluation tool, as a way to bring ourselves forward, to be better every time? So I'm going to ask you, as you look at the number that you put down, 1 to 10, do you feel happy with it? Are you satisfied with it? If not, do you want to make a commitment to bring that number up next week? Just check inside and see. And if you do, internally, right now, make a commitment and feel as you make that commitment what that will take. It'll take some will, it'll take some intention, and it'll take action. We notice, we choose, we act. So it'll take you engaging in a different way if you want to bring that number up. And all of us can always bring our engagement in life, our engagement with ourselves up each time, each moment. There's an opportunity to choose fresh each moment. This is the essence of those choose now, because we have choice at every moment and we're waking up to that choice. So now I'm going to give you another challenge, and this challenge is going to be hard. This is a tough one for many of us. And that challenge is thinking about how you showed up throughout this first week of your Dream Academy. I'd like you to give yourself a compliment. Now, the great thing about compliments is that when they come from your very close friends, your most intimate friends, they really hit home, because you know yourself like nobody else. So you can give yourself a compliment that really resonates on a heart level. I'm going to ask you to stretch and do that now. It might be, you have a lot of reasons not to trust. I really admire how vulnerable and how transparent you are. Or I love your presence on this call. Or I love how you came forward. Or I loved how you used chat to express yourself and to stay engaged. Or I loved how you let each person that was sharing, or one person in particular, touch your heart, move. Or I loved how you saw yourself in other people as they were sharing. You were available for that. So please take my invitation now. I'm going to do it too. And give yourself a compliment. Write it down right now. Give yourself a compliment. Be generous. Be accurate. One of the things we're going to explore this week, and by the way, great job on giving yourself a compliment. That's a muscle we're going to keep flexing throughout the 10 weeks. It's a great muscle to have, and feel free to keep exercising that muscle through the weekend. One of the things we're going to talk about on Monday are values. What are values and why do they matter? But before you hear anybody else's perspective on what values are and why they matter, I want to ask you from your core, what are values and why do they matter? Trust, whatever comes, you can't do it wrong. Write it down now. What are values and why do they matter? Thanks for writing down what are values and why do they matter. As we ask these questions, there's no right answers, of course, but we start to look at what are the very foundations of how we're moving forward. And one of the things that we notice is that we're often chasing things, we're going after things in life that we haven't clearly defined. Things like happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, success. We're often saying that we want these things, but have we fully defined what they are, how they feel? Will we know when we get there? So we want to go a little bit down this road and start to see how we're holding these words, these concepts in our own consciousness, in our own mind, in our own body. So I'm going to first ask you to write down what comes to mind. How do you define happiness? What is happiness? Go ahead. Anything that comes. So trust whatever comes and notice how was that to actually define what is happiness. How does it feel in your body? What does it look like? How do you know when you have it? And now I'm going to ask you to define something that may be similar and may be really different. And that word is fulfillment. What is fulfillment to you? How does it live in your body? How do you know that you're fulfilled? Is it something that's important to you? Fulfillment. Write down what comes up when I say fulfillment. really love how we're diving into this. The next word is satisfaction. A lot of people talk about satisfaction. They're looking for satisfaction. But like the Rolling Stones song says, can't get no satisfaction. We can't seem to find it. It seems elusive. So I want to ask you to define in your own words, in your own experience, what is satisfaction? How will you know when you have it? What does it feel like? What does it look like? And the last word I'd love you to define is the ever elusive success. We all want success, but what is success for you? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Have you had a time when you could clearly say, yes, this is success, and rest in that? Or is success something that's a moving goal that you never quite get to, that you've never quite experienced? Write down your experience and your thoughts around success. Great job. And as we look at the work that you just did, how you define values, why they matter, how you define success, fulfillment, satisfaction, happiness, all these things, I'd like to ask you another question. That question is, what matters most to you? It could be a who, it could be a what. So I'm going to keep it open and I'm going to say, on your paper now, write the 5 things, whatever they are, that matter most to you. Trust your heart. Do that now. 5 things that matter most to you. All right, great job. And I hope that you are enjoying the waves as much as I am today. I'm so happy to be sharing this space with you. So, I'd love you to look at these 5 things that you've defined as the most important things in your life. And I'd like you to imagine that someone was gonna walk through a day with you. And from where you go, and your quality of attention, how you spend your time, what you do, they've got to guess these 5 things. They've got to guess what your priorities are by how you spend your time and your energy. Would they be able to do that? Would they be able to see your priorities, your top 5 things reflected in your daily life, in your actions every day? And if not, I'd like you to write about the disparities. I often say that being a great parent is the most important thing to me. But do I spend quality time with my kids every day? I might say that I want to grow as a leader, but am I following a plan to get more skills and more practice to become a better leader? We're asking ourselves, do our priorities get reflected in our daily life? And if they don't, where is the disparity? I'd love you to write about that disparity, that difference now. So what's the difference in what you say is your priority and what you do in your life? Write that down now. Thank you. All right, so we're diving in. And what we know about our values and what we know about how our life shows up and how we see the world and how we move in the world today is it's influenced by our life experiences so far. And it's particularly strongly influenced by our experiences as a child. So this week, we're going to be looking at our values and our priorities, and we're also going to start to see how our childhood might influence the way that we see the world, the way that we see relationships, the way that we perceive what's possible for us, all of those things. So the last thing we're going to do today together, thank you for engaging with me in this process so fully. I feel you right there, and I'm with you. But the last part is we're going to open the door to our early life. And then next week, we're going to go through that door and we're going to look around inside of the rooms and we're going to start to feel and see and experience how we formed as the people we know ourselves to be today. So how this is going to work is I'm going to read out a question and then I'm going to give you a moment to write on that question. And there'll be 5 questions. Make sure you have your pen and your paper. And this is the last series of writing that we'll do today. The first question is, what do you remember about your childhood? What do you remember about your childhood? Trust whatever comes. Write it down. The next one is, who was around when you were a child? Who was there? Who was present? Who was significant? Remember and write it down. The next one is, what are your fondest memories as a child? When you think back, were there joyous moments as a child? Were there fun? Were there best friends? What are your fondest memories as a child? Write them down. The next one is, what scared you as a child? What or who were you afraid of? Imagined or real? What were you scared of as a child? And last, and I really want you to think back, what were your dreams as a child? What did you think about? What did you imagine your life as an adult or a young adult would look like? What were your dreams as a child? Done such amazing work today, and as I said before, I hope you're enjoying this beautiful day with me on the ocean as much as I am. I love this time that we have together. I can't wait to see you on Monday. And I'm going to invite you to keep visiting what you wrote down and to keep letting awareness of how your values, how your priorities live in your life, and how your early life has informed who you are today. Let all of that awareness just trickle in as you take a shower, as you eat food, as you walk around, as you talk to people, as you observe yourself. And let this process of noticing, choosing, and acting just be organic. And start to see in your life, what do you want to change? What do I want to change? How do I move in the world? Just letting that awareness be there. Thank you again for taking the time, bringing your attention to this work. Can't wait to see you on Monday.